The Giants picked up a huge win against the Dodgers, and they wouldn't have done it if this player wasn't just a different guy in 2024 than he was in 2023.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. My name is Ben Kaspick, and on the show we provide daily episodes Monday through Friday talking about the San Francisco Giants in a way that's data-driven and rational, but also simple, passionate, and accessible to all. I'm a former contributor for the baseball statistics and analysis websites Beyond the Box Score and Rotographs. I've been podcasting about the Giants since 2015, been hosting this show for over 5 years, and I'm a lifelong Giants fan. Thank you for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube, so check us out there if you have not already, and please hit that subscribe button wherever it is that you're following the show. This episode of Locked On Giants is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today. And coming up on today's show, we are going to get into this player is just a different guy in 2024 than he was in 2023. And it's not just results. It's like we can see it with the way he stands and sets up at the plate. Brett Wisely with a walk-off bomb, like not a wall scraper by any means. We're talking a no doubt home run off Blake Trinan in the bottom of the ninth. Blake Trinan, I mean, these guys are just villains. Like the Dodgers, they roll in here with Shohei Ohtani. Mookie Betts is on the injured list. Doesn't matter. They're still a great team. These guys are just the big bad, wolves of Major League Baseball. And they come in here with their Daniel Hudsons and their Blake Trinans in the bullpen, and the Giants got to them. The Giants got to these big arms out of the bullpen. And for Brett Wisely to just hit a shot off of Blake Trinan deep into the night in right field off the water cannons was just a huge swing of the bat for the Giants, especially given that they had blown this game in the top of the ninth with Elliot Ramos. The ball was ruled a hit. Leading off the inning, Camilo Doval, one-run game. Giants had the lead at that point, and the leadoff hitter hit a ball well that Ramos nearly caught, but it wasn't routine, but it did hit a lot of glove. And so if you're Ramos, if you're a major league center fielder, you believe you should have caught that. But it was not ruled an error. Maybe they changed it. I'll have to triple check on that. But at the time, it definitely wasn't ruled an error. Yeah, the Giants had no errors in the game. So not an error, wasn't routine. But it ended up going for a triple, leadoff triple, and so you're obviously likely to have the game get tied at that point when you're only up by a run. And sure enough, the Dodgers did tie it. So we go to the bottom of the ninth, and this is the kind of game where the Giants have in recent years been losing to LA, like close games. They just haven't been able to pull it out. And tonight or last night was different, because Brett Wisely is different. This guy last year, I mean, he struggled bad, and he's approaching the same number of plate appearances that he had last year with the Giants. He had 131 last year in his rookie season. He was a pure rookie last year. They acquired him from Tampa Bay. I don't remember exactly what the move was for the Giants to acquire him, but they got him from Tampa Bay. He hit well in AAA and then was called up and played in 51 games last year, 131 plate appearances, and this year now he has 108 plate appearances. So he's going to keep playing like pretty much every day right now, especially with the injuries that we're going to talk about a little bit later. But so in 131 plate appearances, Brett Wisely hit 175 with a 231 on base and a 267 slugging. And in 108 plate appearances this year, he's hitting 304 with a 333 on base and 461 slugging. So almost 100 percentage points better offensively than he was last year. I mean, yeah, percentage points, not 100%, because he's more than twice as good as he was last year, 100 percentage points. So from a 38 weighted runs created plus, meaning about 62% below average offensively, to this year right now, 27% above average offensively, and filling in crucially at the shortstop position where defensive runs saved has him at +2, outs above average has him at +2, ultimate zone rating also in the green for Brett Wisely. He's spent 2 innings in the outfield, in center field, and 50 innings at second base. And in his major league career, he spent most of his time at second base, where he's also rated as a above average defender. And so if this guy can hit at all, then he's a pretty valuable player. And so far this year, he's been a pretty valuable player. And he's just hit like the eye test. He's just a different guy. And then I have like serious numbers to back this up. I don't know that I've ever seen, since I've been hosting this show, an improvement in this particular category like I'm seeing it right here in front of my eyes, which is that his zone contact rate, this is when he swings at pitches in the strike zone, last year was just 77.5%. This year, 95%. So he was swinging and missing at about a quarter of balls that he swung at that were in the strike zone last year. And now he's only swinging and missing at 5% of balls that he swings at that are in the strike zone. And that just makes a tremendous difference. And as such, I mean, his strikeout rate has fallen from 30.5% to just 21.3%. Makes it much harder to get a guy out. And so not just harder to strike a guy out, but then they're going to put the ball in play. And when they put the ball in play, you know, they get hits sometimes, right? Like that's just how it works, is you're going to get, say, I mean, you could change nothing about how often you get a hit when you put it in play. But if you just make more contact when you swing, especially when you're swinging at strikes and you're not chasing, his chase rate has also fallen from 36% to 31%. So it's just kind of across the board improvement. Dude's hitting leadoff for the Giants right now. Well, actually, last night he wasn't. They put Jorge Soler in that spot. Interestingly, against a right-handed pitcher, they went Soler in the leadoff spot. Wade Jr. comes off the injured list, and so Wisely hit 8th and played 2nd, and Nick Ahmed got the start at short. So that could be what we see as Thairo Estrada has gone on the injured list. So it kind of, you know, their depth continues to thin out. Even as they get somebody back in Wade, then they lose Estrada. And so that's definitely a factor. But this was just a huge win for the Giants against LA. They were down 2-0, and then they answered. All their runs came via the homer. It just kind of reminded me of that silly line of thinking about being too reliant on home runs in certain years. But you know, the home run, they wouldn't have had any runs without the home run in this game last night. Matos got them on the board with a solo shot in the 5th. And then Matt Chapman, a huge swing of the bat off Daniel Hudson, who's a really good reliever, in the bottom of the 6th. A 2-run homer to give the Giants a 3-2 lead that they held on to until the top of the 9th. Doval, like I said, he gave up just the 1 hit in the inning. He did pick up a strikeout, but that 1 hit was a triple that could have been caught, and therefore he blew the save. So the struggles, I guess you could say, for Doval continue, but the home run ball, huge for the Giants. Also, Logan Webb, 7 innings, 2 runs. It's not even always noteworthy, just that Logan Webb goes out there, 7 innings, 2 runs. That's about par for the course for Webb, who really, really needs to make his first career All-Star game this year. And this was another great outing for him. So coming up in just a minute, we're going to discuss the injured list status. We have some key players going down, a key player coming back, and also we'll get into the Giants losing another legend in Orlando Cepeda in the middle of this game. And so Willie Mays and Orlando Cepeda both gone within the span of 10 days. So we'll get into that as well later. All of that in just a minute. And before we get into it, This episode of Locked on Giants is brought to you by Booking.com, Booking.yeah. With summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you always secretly wanted to learn more about. And this includes your rival's city. We're talking about the Dodgers. Have you ever been to Dodger Stadium? I've spent some, it's kind of intimidating, but I went there to start this season when the Giants had their first road trip of the year in San Diego and LA. And with hotels, bed and breakfasts, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com, you might just find your perfect stay, even if it's in your baseball rival's city. It doesn't have to be there. You know, Giants have tons of trips you can. That's the beauty of baseball is travel. Like you can go to so many different cities, and now with the American League, with the new scheduling, you're going to every American League city every other year. So that's just fantastic. And, you know, Booking.com makes it a great experience where you can enjoy any city, including your rivals. So the right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. So book today on Booking.com on the site or in the Booking.com app. Today's episode is also brought to you in part by FanDuel. I love sports, duh. I love them so much I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs finish up in the NHL and NBA, we get fewer games, and the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head over to fanduel.com/lockedon and start making the most of your summer. I'm on fanduel.com/lockedon right now. I'm looking at the odds for the Giants in their upcoming game tonight against the Dodgers. Dodgers have Tyler Glasnow going against a bullpen game for the Giants with Eric Miller slated to start. Dodgers are heavy favorites at -200 on the money line. The over-under set at 7.5 runs. I might take the under. I don't know. It's tough. It is tough, but you can check out every game, and maybe this isn't the one to look at, but every game all summer long. FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. All right, as promised, we're going to get into the injury news for the Giants. Kind of out of nowhere, Thairo Estrada and Wilmer Flores hit the 10-day injured list, and the Giants have been banged up all season. And how are they going to deal with these injuries? What is the severity of these injuries? And who did they get back? And why is it so important? Thanks again for making Locked on Giants your first listen every day. Every dayers on Monday, we're going to be breaking down the second and third games of this critical series against the Dodgers. I think if you can just find a way to win one more of these two games, then you can call it a great homestand, because you would have won 3 out of 4 against the Cubs and won a series against LA. And look, it's never easy to sweep a team, so expecting them to sweep the Dodgers would be a little ambitious. But yeah, and then they're going to head out on a tough road trip to Atlanta and Cleveland, and then they're going to come home and play a couple more contenders, and then it's the All-Star break. So this is a really important stretch for the Giants, and we'll be breaking down the rest of this Dodgers series on Monday. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Do you have to turn down the volume with all of that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Also, a reminder, you can catch every pitch of the Giants' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Giants. So, this caught me by surprise that all of a sudden Wilmer Flores and Thairo Estrada hit the injured list, and we knew LaMonte Wade Jr. was going to be activated. So the kind of verbatim write-up here on sfgiants.com is Thairo Estrada, Wilmer Flores placed on 10-day IL, first baseman LaMonte Wade Jr. reinstated, and infielder outfielder Tyler Fitzgerald was recalled from AAA Sacramento. So the write-up again, the Giants welcomed Wade back to their lineup on Friday for the first time since May 27th, so a month and a day. But they also lost two of their other veteran infielders after Estrada and Flores were shelved with a left wrist sprain and right knee tendonitis, respectively. San Francisco replenished its infield depth by calling up Fitzgerald, who's batting .273 with a .742 OPS and one homer over 28 major league games this year. So that's all we have in terms of the kind of news on Estrada and Flores. So the left wrist sprain and right knee tendonitis, I mean, that can explain the struggles for Flores, certainly to an extent, depending on the severity there. But yeah, so it's just like whack-a-mole this season. You know, you get somebody back and somebody goes down like right afterwards, or in this case, right at the same time. And so to lose Estrada is, I think, bigger than the loss of Flores. Although Flores, it's just that Flores hasn't really been producing. But when he's right, he's one of the more kind of clutch and dangerous bench players in the game. He can start at first. He could start at DH, but he just hasn't really hit in 2024. And so, but Estrada was like Iron Man starting second baseman for the Giants. But he also, if you look at the numbers, like it's been a down year so far overall at the plate, although he's, as usual, had a knack for some big hits. But Estrada, I mean, he's been about 20% below average offensively. So that's atypical for him. And I mean, Wilmer Flores has been worse than that at, about 26% below average offensively. And so that's kind of not what you would expect from either guy. But the injuries could perhaps partially explain that. But in exchange, you do get Wade Jr. back, who, after yesterday's game, is hitting .331 and has a .465 on base and .421 slugging. So that's actually not a lot of power considering the average is so high. The difference between the average and the slugging is only 90 points. So he hasn't hit for much power, but the on base is just incredible. And, he hit second in the lineup and, a little bit of rust, as was expected, I guess, with 2 strikeouts, but he did pick up a hit against a lefty. And so that's one of the other stories this year that is noteworthy to me, is that Wade has become more of an everyday player. I think he would obviously have wanted that in many of the recent, ever since he's joined the Giants, but Kapler basically didn't let him play much at all against lefties. Melvin has, and I think the Giants and Bob Melvin are being rewarded for that, as Wade Jr. has put together much better at bats than in previous years against left-handed pitching, and is starting to show that he is perhaps an everyday player and not just a platoon player. So that was, I just continue to be impressed. I think it was against Ryan Yarbrough, who's a really tough left-handed angle, funky, or it was against Anthony Banda. One of the two. I think it was Yarbrough. But, Yarbrough has been pretty good this year, and Wade picked up a knock against him left on left. So, yeah, when I looked through the lineup, I mean, Ramos went 0 for 4, and so he's kind of slumping all of a sudden. And Bailey picked up a hit in 3 at-bats and a walk, no strikeouts. Soler picked up 1 hit. Conforto picked up a hit, was a triple. Matos has actually been kind of on fire since getting called back up, and he drew a walk, homered and walked. And Wisely was 2 for 4, 1 strikeout. Nick Ahmed 0 for 3. So, yeah, the Giants right now, I guess, like, that is the depth chart, and you suddenly start to think about what does it look like if you were to lose either of your middle infielders, like Wisely or Nick Ahmed right now, because they've already lost Thairo Estrada now to the injured list. They've lost Wilmer Flores, who could play second base, I guess, but I don't think he's played at all there this season. But Shortstop was already kind of thin, is what I'm getting at. And Wisely was playing short with Estrada playing second. But now Wisely plays second. It is more of his natural position. So I would like you got some really good defense there. And Wade being back, I think Wade also showed some rust in the field, made it kind of a bad feed to, I think it was Tyler Rogers. But suddenly with Bailey at catcher, Chapman at third, Nick Ahmed at short, Brett Wisely at second, and LaMonte Wade Jr. at first. That's got to be one of the best defensive infields in the major leagues. And so you do have the potential there. I mean, Estrada was excellent as well. So it's not like anything's really different, except Wade coming back is the difference versus Flores. Although Flores is a pretty strong defender at first base only, not anywhere else as well. So their infield defense ought to be a real strength. And if guys like Chapman can hit, like he has had a much better stretch here than he had to start the season. He's suddenly been above average offensively on the season, and the expected numbers are significantly higher than the actual numbers. And so it was good to see him. He's got 10 homers on the season now in 80 games. And so, I guess that's not that impressive. It's like obviously about a 20 homer pace. And this is a guy who's consistently hit 20 to, 27, one time hit 36 homers in a season, but he's a 20 homer threat every single year. Wouldn't be shocked at all if he hit 20 this year. And the defense has been a little weird for Chapman, so I'm a little bit all over the place, but basically, they're thin on pitching. All the more reason it was a huge outing by Webb. Just want to give him another shout out. And the fact that he's never made an all-star game is criminal, and he better make it this year is the only thing I have to say about that. Like, if this guy played for the Mets or the Yankees or something like that, he would be like a 3-4 time all-star by this point. But he's never made an all-star game, and it's just criminal. And so what more can you do? And the all-star rosters are going to be announced pretty soon, and he better be one of them, in my opinion. Otherwise, we riot. We riot. So yeah, that's the latest. It stinks to lose Estrada and Flores at the same time, but it's nice to get Wade Jr. back at least. And a lot of the pitchers are getting closer as well, and that will help the Giants out significantly. So coming up in just a minute, we are going to turn our attention to the loss of the baby bull, Orlando Cepeda. In a 10-day span, the Giants have lost Willie Mays and Orlando Cepeda. So just kind of an incredibly sad 10-day stretch for the organization. And we will get into the loss of Orlando Cepeda in just a minute. And before we do, today's episode of Locked On Giants is brought to you by GameTime. I love going to MLB games during the summer. And like I said earlier, I love traveling on the road to see different cities that I've never seen before. And GameTime is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the GameTime app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch, with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. GameTime takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. For me, one of the best things is the views from the seat. When I'm going to a new venue, I can't just look at a two-dimensional map and figure out what does it look like from the seat. And so that is a huge thing. And then the lowest price guarantee is also fantastic, because if I find tickets in the same section and row for less, GameTime will credit me or you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code Locked On MLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, here we go. We are going to get into the loss of Orlando Cepeda, who passed away yesterday at the age of 86, and this happened during the game, as far as I understand. Yes, so Yeah, on Friday. So yeah, during the game on Friday, 86 years old, and his wife in a statement said, "Our beloved Orlando passed away peacefully at home this evening, listening to his favorite music and surrounded by his loved ones. We take comfort that he is at peace." And Commissioner of Baseball Rob Manfred, again issuing a statement here, said Orlando Cepeda was one of the best hitters of his generation. He starred for 3 historic National League franchises and the 11-time All-Star, played alongside Hall of Fame players throughout his career. Orlando was the 1958 National League Rookie of the Year when Major League Baseball debuted in San Francisco, where later the Baby Bulls number 30 was retired. In 1967, he earned NL MVP honors during the St. Louis Cardinals World Series championship. Orlando overcame challenges throughout his life to build a Hall of Fame career. This beloved figure from Puerto Rico was one of the many players of his era who helped turn baseball into a multicultural game. On behalf of Major League Baseball, I extend my deepest condolences to his family, his friends across our game, and his many fans in Puerto Rico, San Francisco, St. Louis, Atlanta, and beyond. And Giants chairman Greg Johnson, it's just sad to me that we're doing this again. We just went through this with Willie Mays, which was unbelievably sad. And yeah, Giants chairman Greg Johnson said, "We lost a true gentleman and legend. Orlando was a great ambassador for the game throughout his playing career and beyond. He was one of the all-time great Giants, and he will truly be missed. Our condolences go out to the Cepeda family for their tremendous loss, and we extend our thoughts to Orlando's teammates, his friends, and to all those touched by his passing." And Giants president and chief executive officer Larry Baer said, "This is truly a sad day for the San Francisco Giants. For all of Orlando's extraordinary baseball accomplishments, it was his generosity, kindness, and joy that defined him. No one loved the game more. Our heartfelt condolences go out to his wife, Nydia, his 5 children, Orlando Jr., Malcolm, Allie, Carl, and Hector, his 9 grandchildren, his 1 great granddaughter, as well as his extended family and friends." So, yeah, Hall of Fame legend, Giants legend, Orlando Cepeda. Bob Melvin says, "What another gut punch, another incredible personality. Just beloved here. The statue out front, they've got a statue of Willie Mays and Orlando Cepeda at the ballpark, at Oracle Park, and we lose both of them in the span of 10 days. And then Melvin said, "The numbers he put up, there are a lot of legends here. He was certainly right in the middle of that. To have it so close in proximity to Willie, it's kind of staggering." And just to see, are there any more quotes in here from Giants players? I know there were. Logan Webb spoke on it after the game. And even Dave Roberts, Dodgers manager, said he was a gentleman. I don't think there's anyone in baseball that can say a bad word about Orlando. To lose 2 baseball greats, 2 great Giants, there was a somberness in the stadium tonight. So thank you, Dave Roberts, for a classy statement. Tough loss for the Dodgers last night, but understanding that some things are way bigger and more important than baseball. And yeah, the loss of the baby bull and recognizing the loss of the perhaps all-time best Willie Mays within 10 days for this Giants franchise, a team that Dave Roberts played for. I don't know. It's just very significant, very sad. And yeah, the statue was unveiled, it looks like in 2020 in August. And so, yeah, looking up the numbers just to give you, I obviously, just like with Willie Mays, I'm going to stick, a lot of you listening, watch this guy play. And I didn't. He finished his playing career 15 years before I was born. But with the Giants, not counting the 19 games he played in 1966, because it was a partial season, he was traded during the season. But he started his career with the Giants, where he hit 308, 352 on base, 535 slugging, 223 homers, 139 weighted runs created plus. So just a monster with the bat. And yeah, a legendary player from all accounts that I've heard and from what I've seen of him when he made appearances and was interviewed and whatnot. Just a true gentleman and a Giants legend. And to lose him and to lose Willie, it's just a sad 10-day stretch for the Giants, but glad they were able to beat the Dodgers kind of in Orlando's honor last night. So anyway, that is all the time we have for today. Thanks again for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. Everydayers, like I said, on Monday, breaking down the last 2 games of this series. It's going to be tough. You got Tyler Glasnow today with a bullpen game for the Giants. Not exactly sure who's going to follow Eric Miller. And then James Paxton on Sunday against TBD for the Giants. So we'll see what direction they go there. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Once again, my name is Ben Kaspick. Check me out on Twitter at Ben Kaspick, Kaspick. If you like this show, please consider rating it or leaving a review. It helps me out a lot. So thank you in advance, and thanks to everyone who's done so already. I can't wait to be with you again on Monday. Have a great rest of your weekend. Thanks again for listening. You are now Locked On Giants.